Guillermo. Hey, are you QR code crazy? I mean, everyone's QR code crazy now. Here's my QR code that'll get you to uh, a a ticket link for the Vancouver Fringe, September 4th through 14th on plane, various dates, various times. Click the link, see the dates, see the times at the review stage in Vancouver. I've never been to Granville Island. I mean, I've been to Vancouver, but I just never been to Granville Island. It's a part of Vancouver. It's it's fun. I hear. It's a fun place to be. So there's the QR code. Check out Emil And 69. This is my poster. The poster from my Edmonton show, and they made me look really devilish, almost like the Satan in in the South Park, right? I'm almost that kind of Satan-y red. So I demanded a reprint, and they gave me a reprint, but the QR code works. And I changed the Q. I have a dynamic QR code, so this will get you to the Vancouver site. Emil And 69. What is Emil And 69, you ask? Well, you can see it upright or upside down. Your pick. It's a comedy about the stories of our time, the story of our time. And I link it to Filipino history. Wow, that's a stretch. But it's interesting. Check it out. Emil And 69. There I am. See, I'm upright. I'm upside down. Look at what people have said. People have said some interesting, comical, often profound observations, said the Manhattan Digest. Stand-up monologue rant. Enjoy keeping pace with Guillermo's brilliant mind. Funny, poignant. Orlando Weekly said that. Oh, my God. So the Vancouver Fringe on the QR code, September 4th through 14th. Go see it. All right. Today, on today's show, so much to talk about, so much in the news. I mean, it's Labor Day coming up, right? Don't you know, Labor Day? Got Professor Daniel Phil Gonzalez coming on with me to talk about the news. And let's see. Yesterday I talked about Leon Panetta saying we gotta get real here about working in a bipartisan manner, because we are going to lose our democracy when guys like Leon Panetta write an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. I'm alarmed, because it shows that even the best minds of government cannot do a darn thing about what's going on. They don't know what to do except to make the appeal to voters to pay attention, folks. We're going to lose this thing before we make it to 250. This experiment in democracy, we may not get that far. 250. Anyway, let me bring up my friend Daniel Phil Gonzalez, College of Ethnic Studies, San Francisco State University, Asian American Studies Professor Emeritus. And here he is. Dan, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Dan. You should be on. No? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Dan is a statue. Oh, Dan, can you hear me? Oh, I think, yeah. Fix your sound. Oh, there you are. What happened?
We're broken.
Okay. Wow.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. All right, Dan.
Yeah, your sound is
welcome to
choppy
the
on
show.
my side.
Oh, okay. Well, modern technology.
Yeah.
It'll work only for the
Oh,
billionaires.
I hope
Only
I'm still here.
Yeah, you're still there. You're still there.
Yeah,
All right, so let's get right into it.
we were having technical issues.
Yeah, well, let's
Yeah.
get right into it. The thing that bothers me, let's get this out first. The Minnesota shooter. That story still lingers. We got victims named.
It's obviously it's another tragedy, okay? But look at who had the guns and whose family knew that he had mental problems.
Right. Well,
So the first thing that I heard was that was consulting with an
Yeah.
attorney. So she's smart enough to know that there are states like in California where the prosecution
Oh,
and be very aggressive in going after members of the family that should have known that someone
all
shouldn't
right.
be armed.
I think
Armed to the teeth. He had three weapons.
yeah, this is important, but I think more important is how the media is covering it. Well, we're still hearing about the victims, and I think that it's important. We must grieve as a nation, but grieving about young kids being shot at schools or in places of worship have never stopped these things. The
That's right.
empathy has never extended towards stopping shootings, mass killings. Instead, the media says, "Oh, we're not going to glorify the shooter. We don't want copycats." But if we don't cover the shooter and the problems about what the shooter had, we're not going to get to the bottom of this. We're not going to get to the bottom of why he did it and how to stop it. And clearly, how to stop it is by addressing mental health concerns of the families and of the perp. But, we seem to be obsessed with empathy toward the victims, which is great, but that's not going to
I
stop these
Yeah.
things.
Well, it's because it's kids, and once again, people are feeling it again. But well, and that's because one side of the political spectrum, right,
Mm.
refuses to address the reality. Okay,
Of,
and
of
you
guns.
can't just chalk this up to the guns and the presence of guns because the gun manufacturers have a very powerful lobby. They spend a lot of money on this stuff. You can't just chalk it up to that.
Right, right. But look, just because they're
It,
yeah, but just because kids are involved, as I said, Sandy Hook, did anything happen? Nothing. Nothing. Uvalde, did anything happen to change things? Nothing.
I went
The
back and
oh, we lost Dan. Let's add him back to the stream.
environments.
Okay, well, all right. So you went back. What? Go ahead.
And I looked for the history of school based attacks, school
Right.
located attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And because everybody goes, when they talk about kids, they
Mm-hmm.
always go back to Columbine. And it really kind of angers me because the reality is that school shootings go all the way back to the 1960s. Post
Right.
World War II school shootings go all the way back to the 1960s. And
Right. And we had the biggest one in Stockton. One of the biggest
yes,
ones in Stockton.
and yes, yes.
When
And it
when
was
the
really obviously race based. So it
Mhm.
was hate based. Once again, this attack also appears to be hate based, and there are all kinds
Yeah.
of indicators here. So
Yeah.
the problem is that we're not willing to do what it takes to put forward restrictions that really work. Republicans and people on the right generally always say there's no law that would have stopped this situation from happening. Okay, well, that's exactly the problem. That's
They,
exactly the
well,
problem that they're
they don't want to
willing
make
to.
the law. They won't. They
That's
don't.
exactly right.
Yeah.
They don't want to. Not only laws, they're not willing to look at it. There's no way that you could legislate against everybody who has a mental problem. Okay, but you can create a cultural environment where people are willing to say this person's got a problem and watch out for it. Okay,
Or we could address the issue by saying, what do these people need before they become a perp? What do these
sure,
people need to have? What kind of treatment? What got me was, I know I heard another shooting, and maybe this is what happens. I turned off. I didn't want to get involved because I knew how they would cover it. I knew they would focus on the victims, but focusing on the victims doesn't seem to motivate lawmakers to do anything about it. It makes people feel bad, but I think instead they ice out the perp. And so we have no empathy for the perp. Once a few things are known about Robin Westman, people start attacking her for her transness, and that's not the issue. The issue is what kind of mental health things could have happened to try to prevent this, and that's really what bothers me about this whole Minneapolis case. that once again we have an opportunity to try to get to the bottom of this and try to stop further shootings, but we won't.
Well, see, all of these events are perpetrated. All of these perpetrators have something wrong mentally. They
Yeah,
do have a psychological issue. It's as simple as that. The
yeah,
question is why isn't it? You're asking why isn't it addressed, right?
right.
And the reality is that one side of the political spectrum doesn't want to spend the money, and even both sides of the political spectrum don't want to spend the money. You know,
Yeah,
why were lots of people who were in state hospitals all the way up until the early 1970s, right? Right? Why were
mm,
they released from state hospitals? And the answer was they wanted to cut the costs. It's as
yeah.
simple as that. So they put people out on the street, and the right wingers in California and some of the moderates said, it's okay, don't worry. We're going to put them in halfway houses. These people will be transitioned back into the American public, the general society. Really? You know,
Yeah.
they really didn't understand what the conditions were, that these
Well,
people came from, and then the conditions inside the state hospitals, and then the conditions they were coming to outside. Okay,
well,
I
yeah.
was personally attacked physically, all right,
Mm,
by a
mm,
person that had been released from state hospitals and was haunting St. Dominic's Church. This is
mm.
in the early 1970s.
You were a kid
I was
then, huh?
I was personally attacked. Yes,
Yeah,
he hit me square in the face. I had to defend myself, and the only so I got into a scuffle in the middle of the church. I was in a full on fight in the middle of the damn church, and two priests had to pull the guy away because I had to go for it. I
yeah,
hated to do it. I hated to
yeah,
do it, but when you're confronted with that kind of violence, you have to do what you have to do to make it stop. Now,
yeah.
I don't
Now,
know and that's what ticks me off about the general American public. You got one side that is all too willing to do violence. They're all too willing to threaten people with violence. And you got the other side that is afraid to even talk about the need to use violence in a defensive manner. That's really crazy.
yeah. Well, I agree there. I agree with you there. But uh, to get back to the Minnesota situation, the fact that there are kids, are I feel manipulated by the media when they go and talk only about the kids, only about the victims, and not much about the perp. And and the only way we're going to get to where we can solve anything is if we develop a kind of empathy for the perp so that they don't become perps. Oh, Dan's gone again. Oh, he's back. He's back. Well, I know he's not back. Oh, well, this is one of those shows. Oh, here he is. Add to the stream.
Okay.
So Dan, so now you're back. So anyway, I know we're not going to get to the bottom of this, but I just wanted to explain why I was just kind of turned off to the whole situation. Not because I was unfeeling, not because I, uh, not because I was unfeeling or didn't care. I just didn't want the repeat of this again. Well, it looks like we lost Dan for good there. Oh well, keep trying, Dan. Well, I guess we're not going to see Dan. We'll wait. All right. So I just wanted. Oh, here he comes. Nope.
Well, no, I'm here.
You're here. You're here.
Yep. Yep. But
Okay.
but I'm looking at your chin. And
I'm not. Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay. So all right. So here we are. So Dan. So just wrap up on the shooter. We're just going to see more shootings until I guess we're just going to see more shootings. Oh. Oh well. Now you know. Oh, here he is. We're just going
yeah.
to see more shootings. I mean, I
Well,
just.
uh, you got to do both. There has to be a regulation of who gets guns and what kind of guns they get. And
Yeah.
right now, as far as I know, there's only been some restrictions in the past against what kinds of guns.
Hmm.
Okay, and there's only been a few restrictions on how many guns. So right now, it's still just basically a free market. The restrictions on the number of rounds, magazine, those are gone. You know, so there are multiple round
Yeah.
magazines. 30 round clips are a regular thing. You can buy 20 and 30 round clips. Obviously, if you're going to buy a a clip and it only costs about $5 more for a 30 round clip, over a 10 round clip, then what are you going to buy? Okay,
Well, it gets
uh,
down to how cheap you are.
the military weapons, the
Yeah.
military style weapons.
How
Yeah,
cheap and how
it's
economical.
it's it's really bad. I mean, we I keep asking the question: are the Democrats willing to do what needs to be done? And they haven't even been willing to go hard on restrictions, reasonable restrictions that the general public clearly favors, reasonable restrictions that even the members of the NRA favor. I'm talking about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
members, not the
Well,
leadership.
this is
Okay, they
this is the
favor as
thing.
well.
Everyone has lost a spine, has lost a backbone, and it's all based on the fear of Donald Trump and his ilk. Really, I mean, one round of this Donald Trump thing, and I mean, look, Joni Ernst, who uh, good riddance to her. She says she's not running again, but I think she wasn't running again. She isn't running again because of politics is not the kind of thing it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And so people are saying, wow, what is wrong? We can't govern. It's almost like um, this is the, uh, it's like the self fulfilling prophecy. When you tear down institutions and you make it look like governing is really a thankless, uh, really impractical thing, people will turn off. People will turn off to democracy. They'll turn off to 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 running. Good people won't run for office. Although Joni Ernst was not a good person, not as I guess she showed what it was like to try to be an Iowan, a Republican, trying to go full Trump, and I guess it wasn't a good fit. Made her feel dirty or something. She's not running again. But this is where we are. The hope for some kind of bipartisan working together. We've destroyed that. Destroyed that in America.
Yeah. Well, you have a general population that obviously is very susceptible to distrust of government generally. Okay,
Yeah,
that has been cultivated. That has been cultivated, particularly from the right. There are
yeah,
times when even liberals and Democrats have used language and have demonstrated attitude, right? The attitude, especially during political campaigns, that would allow people to develop a strong distrust of government. Usually, it's aimed at the other party, but generally speaking, what the public gets is that both sides at certain times are both parties are not to be trusted, and then you get a whole of government distrust, and that has all been validated generally by an unwillingness to fund government properly. That's one.
oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so that it doesn't do its job. And that's intentional. That's
yes,
intentional. And it has been intentional from the right. It has been
yes.
so-called conservatives that have been most responsible for cutting back on budgets at the state level, the local level, and the national level so
Yeah,
that government
although, yeah,
can't do its
although
job.
who was the last president to balance the budget? Bill Clinton. It wasn't Donald Trump. Donald Trump added to the deficit this last time with this big beautiful bill nonsense. And in the paper, the New York,
Every Republican, whenever any Republican has been in
yeah,
the presidency, right, the national debt
right.
has
And
gone
if you,
up. The people who have addressed the national debt effectively and brought the economy back to a position of stability has always happened under
Right. And
Democratic presidencies. Okay, that
if you look
is
at
the
the New York
history.
Times today, I know a lot of people going to the national parks. They're talking about how the defunding of the national parks have really had an impact. The parks are losing money. They can't even have people at the gates collecting fees to get in. They're going to lose millions of dollars in fees. They've got people on an honor system.
Well, that settles it for me. That settles it for me, Emil. I'm heading
Yeah,
for
well, they
Yosemite
have
tomorrow.
people.
Now, actually, skip Labor Day
Yeah,
and
well,
then go
here's the
there on
thing.
Tuesday.
They have people volunteering, holding up a QR code. They've got an honor system when they don't have these entrances, man. And people are just, flocking to the, to the parks and not paying. And they say, "Oh, well, we're getting a freebie. Thanks, Donald Trump." But this is exactly the wrong thing. I mean, it's sad because I remember going to the national parks 2016, 2017 quite heavily. And, first time I went to Zion, and it pains me to hear that Zion is, people are flocking the gates, unattended, by park rangers, and they're losing fees because that is going to ultimately hit when, people are looking, well, where's the money? There's no money. And what the end goal.
Well, you know what? Okay, so you know what the solution to it? You know what the solution from the right is going to be? Not necessarily from the whole right, but
Yeah,
sell
it's
the
gonna. Right.
goddamn parks.
Right.
That's what
No,
they're going to do.
it's gonna.
Okay, we don't got any money. We're going to
Yeah,
sell the
sell the
park.
parks, open up condos, right? Privatize, open up vacation condos. That's the way a
There you
real
go.
estate guy thinks,
There you
and
go.
that's why Trump is the wrong guy, because he'll sell off America. He'll sell off the beautiful parts, and I just privatizing is the way that is their way out. But to take the national parks and sell the BLM lands piecemeal, I just think that's sort of the end goal, and it's disgusting. Anyway,
Well, they talked about doing the possibility of doing that even under the
oh
Reagan
sure,
administration.
yeah,
And, Republicans always say, "Well, you know what's wrong? That Trump is not Reagan. Trump is not Reagan. If he was doing truly, the good stuff, he would be doing more of the stuff that Reagan did. Well, Reagan wasn't that great either,
Reagan,
man. Reagan did a lot of really evil things.
Reagan was not
Okay,
that great. All right, so look, so we jumped into the Bureau of the park because that was a big deal in the New York Times today. But just the whole thing about how Trump is using special powers. It's all about the power grab. He's using some kind of special law, the Impoundment Act, to stop about $5 billion in funds to government. Once again, government's not doing its job, like you're saying. Let's create uh, distrust on all parts. On the part of allies, on the part of Americans. Oh God, let's just build in people's minds this idea that government is incompetent. Government does not do that
that's
does
right.
not do the damn job. And so come on in, private enterprise, then you could take over. And I see it happening, and I don't see anyone trying to stop it. I see people sending out the alarm bells, but I don't see anyone saying, "Hey, we got to stop this." Well,
Well, even the people who are screaming about oligarchy,
yeah,
right, haven't said the magic words. My magic words are, okay, take campaign financing seriously. Okay,
yeah,
campaign finance reform, and they can't just use the phraseology. We're going to get corporate big money, okay, billionaire money out of politics. They have to say specifically how they're going to do that. You have to state the beginning of a law. You have to be very specific and say we're going to get money out of politics, local, state, and national, and it's going to take strength to do that. I'm questioning whether or not the Democrats are willing to do that. I haven't even heard the lefties and everybody's favorite progressives come out and say that. That's
yeah.
what needs
Well,
to be done.
money.
That's just
Yeah.
one
Well,
thing that
money,
needs
as
to
they
be done.
say, the mother's milk of politics, and you don't play if you don't have the money, and you can make it on small donations, but there must be some reason why they don't want to lead with that because they know that it's a losing issue. It's
They're
a
all
losing issue, but it could be the issue that saves
No,
us.
they're all dependent on no, they're all dependent on getting media. You've been saying how painful the media has
Mm.
been for you because of
Yeah,
the school shootings, the
yeah.
most recent school shooting. Okay, I would say I agree with you 100%. I'll go further than that. They've dealt with the whole issue of mass murders
Oh yeah,
horribly. Okay, horribly. And there are a lot of unresolved issues about the Las Vegas
right.
shooting, right? The guy's up there with a couple of dozen. How does he get a couple of dozen bump stock equipped rifles up there, and
Oh
he's able to shoot down
yeah,
people, right, for
and
several
and you know
minutes?
what
You know,
what kind of meaningful reform came out of that? In some Vegas hotels, they won't let you lock up and have no service for more than a day. They'll have someone come into the room. That's a meaningful reform. To have you have to have main service at least 24 hours. You know, because the guy couldn't have had all his
you know,
arsenal there if someone was into the room. And but they didn't touch the guns, but they touched maid reform in hotels. That was meaningful.
it's Nevada. It's
Yeah,
Nevada, man.
yeah,
It's Nevada. Nevada is a mecca for people who want to get guns that you can't get in
yeah,
California and Oregon.
yeah,
Okay. So they go to Nevada. It's
yeah.
really close. You could also go to Arizona, you go to Utah, but Nevada's right next
All right.
door.
So look. All right. So we talked about the incompetence in showing government incompetent. I mean, we see it with the CDC, where everything seems to be falling apart this week. The CDC person gets fired by Trump. We got Lisa Cook, the Fed chair, Fed governor, the first black woman in that position. She's getting ousted. She's suing. But I think it all boils down to the Republicans want it their way, and it's a power play on the part of Trump, and this has got to be an alarm bell, and people have to call it out, and they have to stand up to it. Lisa Cook, the CDC, the federal funding cuts, it's happening before our eyes, and more people are concerned about.
What are the Democrats doing? What are the Democrats doing about calling for the impeachment well, if not the impeachment, pressuring Trump to get rid of Bobby Kennedy? Okay, even if they know that he's not going to remove Bobby Kennedy, you should be
Yeah,
saying that. You should be saying that this guy is endangering people's lives. He was against the funding for the measles. He's saying that that vaccine is no good. The whole
yeah,
MMR, right? Measles, mumps, and
yeah.
rubella, right? He says that that's dangerous, and now he's announcing that in this month he's going to
Mm,
prove, right, that vaccine causes autism. That's what he's saying. Okay, now all the scientists all over the world, and are saying that that's just false,
yeah.
right? And he's getting away with it, and Trump is
Well,
backing it up. Okay, we're talking about children being killed on the one end by guns, and now children are going to die because they're not
yeah.
vaccinated.
Well,
Okay, and we're permitting that too. So American society tolerate that.
I
Hello.
lost. Oh yeah, Americans are turning off to it all. Don't you think?
Yes,
They
I
just
agree.
and they don't want to take part. But you know what? The danger is if they don't start paying attention, we will lose our democracy.
Yeah, but they
We will
don't.
lose our democracy.
Losing democracy is a vagary for the general public. What they're interested in is, we're going to get lower gas prices because we're going to come off the summer formula,
Yeah.
right? And some states are going to be paying less than $2 a gallon for
Well,
gas. That's the mentality of the
yeah.
American
Well, we're
public.
we're not.
My groceries are going up too
Yeah.
high. Yeah, that's what it's only what's in front of their
Yeah.
nose.
Well,
Okay, it's only what's in front of their
this is
nose.
the sad thing because as we head into Labor Day, more people are just into R&R, and they're turning off the news. They don't want to talk about it. And this is the time when we need to talk about it. And there are some rallies planned, to fight, workers, Labor Day, right?
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
them.
workers
Yeah.
against the billionaires, and that's the kind of thing we need because. And I wrote my piece in Inquirer.net about how the Filipinos knew how to oust a dictator. They use people power, but are Americans smart enough to know people power? I don't know. I as an American, I have my doubts about American people power, and it shouldn't be. But there are enough people. Remember, He's divided our country where there's enough people who say, "Well, he's not so bad. Yeah, he's okay. Oh, he's going. He's a law
Well,
and order guy."
I don't, see, he hasn't. I disagree. I don't think he's divided the society. The society was already divided. Okay,
Mm,
and what you had is you have a lot of people, and not just the Christian
mm,
evangelists, right? That are very conservative thinking, and I'm not condemning all conservatives, but they're very conservative thinking, right? And they have
mm.
been very resistant to all forms of reform, of real reform in American society, because they don't see themselves as being responsible for what's wrong with the society. They see the other as being responsible for what's wrong for the society. So their mentality is a punitive mentality. They want to punish the people who they
Oh,
see as responsible for the corruption of society. Okay. And right now, that's brown and black people. That's
yeah. Oh,
immigrants.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
who's responsible for the corruption of American society.
Well,
It ain't the
yeah.
billionaires. It's not the people who are buying their way into sweetheart deals. It's not a corrupt presidency. It's not corruption all throughout the freaking
Yeah.
Republican Party, right?
It's
It's
these.
it's us.
It's these
It's brown and
corrupt.
black people. It's immigrants.
It's the corrupt immigrants who want to cut in line and go out in front. And they don't believe in the law, and they want to be part of America, and they can be if they pay $5 million and get a membership to Mar-a-Lago. But it's those brown and black people, just like you said, Dan. They're the problems with America, and the fewer brown and black people, the better. The better. Yeah, self-deport. Get them out. All right. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but because they have, you blame the
Well, it,
power, you
it
scapegoat the
absolutely does
powerless.
make sense.
You,
It
you,
you know
you,
that that's another thing. That's another thing. You hit on how the media is really horrible at covering the mass shootings, and especially of kids. Um,
mm,
and I hate the fact that the politicians and the media say this senseless killing. Okay, it's not
yeah,
senseless. Okay, it's not
yeah.
senseless. You said we need empathy for the killer. I don't think you meant empathy. I think you meant understanding. We need to
Well,
understand their
yeah,
mentality and
yeah.
how they
Well,
got there.
I think empathy is the bridge to say, look, we gotta understand that he was screwed up, and if we're gonna stop these shootings, we're gonna understand the people who are screwed up. I mean, to focus solely on the victims is to just wallow in a kind of is to really escape because the victims that's not gonna change things. What's gonna change the shootings that come up are if we have a sense of why shooters become shooters. What is the mental issue that we can address, and that we can change
Yep.
this, because if
Well,
we don't, we're gonna have more. That's it. Hey, Dan.
and it's magnified.
Oh,
This stuff
yeah.
is magnified by social media, which is
Yeah.
that's kind of inclusive within the general media. So we have a journalistic media that is trying to do journalism, right?
Mhm.
That also is infected by people who are just in it for the sensationalism, right? And then
Oh.
we have distrust of journalism. So then
Oh,
where
yeah.
do the people go if they distrust government and journalism? They go to social media. There we go. And
They
there's
go
a
to their friends.
magnifier of the
Yeah.
issue.
They go to their friends,
Okay.
and their friends know nothing, and The blind lead the
Oh no,
blind.
it's worse than that. They go to websites that cater to incels.
Right. And then
They,
we go
they
off the
they go to
cliff. Yeah.
websites where people feel a sense of community because they have a affinity,
Yeah.
electronic affinity, digital affinity via the social media.
Yeah. I mean that's boy. All right. So look, a couple things more that I want to get into. What about this there was a lot of you saw the cabinet meeting on Tuesday, I trust. Um which is more like if you thought it was a lick fest in Alaska between Putin and Trump, this was this is
Yeah.
here are my cabinet. I have never seen a president have a cabinet meeting quite like that ever. Those aren't cabinet meetings. As one military person put it, those were butt snorkeling events.
That's
I mean,
beautiful. I wish
but
I'd have thought of that. I
he
wish I'd have
called it
thought
a
of that.
They
Yeah.
call it butt snorkeling. I just I don't know. I feel like these are our leaders, and what are they telling people who are watching this? That well, if you suck up, it's almost like South Park. You know, South Park, the latest South Park.
It was the
You know,
South. It
where it's
was
like
South Park.
yeah,
It was.
it's like right. It was sicko fancy, sicko
It
fancy.
was.
It was Mr.
Yeah.
President, you do not have a small penis. You do not have a small penis. I mean, it was like, oh, what? And, the South Park had Tim Cook sucking up. But here was the
Oh my
cabinet.
God!
Oh, and Mr. President, you do not have a small penis. I mean,
You
I
are
just
so
think
brilliant.
South Park has really, it really has, it's restored my hope in democracy. But now people have to act. After laughter, we have to take action. But all right, couple final things. Cracker Barrel. Can you imagine?
The logo.
Cracker
The
Barrel was
logo.
this is Trump affirmative action. Save the white cracker. Save the white cracker. He must have there. I see that logo. I was
Yeah.
offended by the logo because I thought the white man smiling, he had either blacks or Filipinos in that Cracker Barrel. That's what I didn't. He had to have someone in there, you know. And then
Oh.
so Cracker Barrel did the right thing. They took the guy out and they just went to a script and modern 20 we're in 2025 and people said no, we want that white man in. This was affirmative action for whites. Put the white man back in there and now all is well. Put the white man back in.
Yeah.
All is well.
Yeah. No, there's a presumption that he's white. There's a presumption that he's white.
Oh,
I don't think there's enough.
he's not
There's not enough
Filipino.
of a close up. How do you know
He's
the
not.
guy's not a mulatto? How do you
He's.
know he's not, an
I don't
octoroon?
know. Yeah.
How do you know
Let's
he's
see.
not like half? Yeah,
I've
he
se-
might be.
I've seen him dance. I've seen the guy dance. I've seen the guy dance. All right. All right. So, have you ever
So
eaten at a
you're
Cracker
saying,
Barrel? Have you ever eaten at
hey,
Cracker
listen,
Barrel?
man. Not all white people are rhythmically challenged. Okay,
Okay. Wait.
they're
I just
not
say,
all white people.
Dan. Have you ever eaten at a Cracker Barrel?
No, and I don't expect I will.
I have. I have. There is nothing for vegans there. Nothing. Nothing. You can, if you want fiber, you can eat your napkin. That's it. Nothing for vegans there. I don't.
Yeah.
Cracker
Okay.
Barrel.
Well, what do you expect? See, the original name of the place was the Crackers Value. Yeah,
The crack.
and so it's about, yeah. It's plural S apostrophe. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's you know and the term for crackers, right? That means white
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
Came from their use of the whip. That came
Yeah.
from the use of their whip on enslaved people. That is the origin of the Crackers Value.
I didn't know that. I appreciate you telling me that. I have to go. I have to plug in because I'm losing power. Yeah, it's just another Honky Haven, right? That's a good name for a restaurant, Honky
And there it
Haven.
is. So what do you
Honky.
expect? You expect vegan? You expect vegan? I mean, I'm surprised they got anything, of vegetables. Probably
No, no
fruits, but
vegetables. No
you know.
vegetables.
So
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So
I
I've
don't
been
need
to a
I don't
Cracker.
I don't need Cracker Barrel. There's a whole bunch of the chain restaurants that I have never
Mm.
eaten at, and the ones that I have eaten at, I only ate there because I absolutely had to. You know,
Ah, okay.
out of
Yeah.
absolute convenience. You know, like so. So we had a great motel or hotel right
Mm.
next door in Portland one time with
For what?
Coco's. Right, so
Oh,
we had to eat
Coco's
at
not
Coco's. It
bad.
was right next
Coco's
door. It was
is
very
not
convenient.
bad.
Yeah,
Coco's
Coco's
is,
wasn't bad.
yeah,
Coco's wasn't
Coco's is
bad.
not.
But once again, I only ate there out of sheer necessity. Well, near necessity.
All right. All right. So when I open up Honky Haven, you'll eat there. You'll eat there. I'll make sure that I'll make sure there's vegan meals at Honky Haven. Come to, hey, so couple things. All right. This is the other news story that was big this week. Taylor Swift and
Oh yeah,
um
yeah, yeah.
the
They made
football
it
player.
official.
Yeah,
Travis,
I don't
Travis
know.
Kelce.
What do you think? I think, look, we've both been married a long time. We've both been
Yeah,
married a long time.
yeah.
I
And
hope,
our wives still seem to favor it.
yes, yes. I hope she gets a prenup, right?
Yeah,
Right? She's got to get a prenup. I would
yeah,
suggest a
yeah.
prenup. I mean,
I don't
you're
know.
going out with a, yeah.
Yeah, I've had friends, that were going to get married for the second or even third time, and they
Hmm.
were asking me about prenups, and I said you should have been
Prenup.
thinking about that the first time, and then
Oh
and then I
yeah.
also advised them, you don't. Why do you need marriage, man? It's just don't get married, you know.
I
But
I think
but they
she
kept doing it.
I think she's getting married for the songs. She wants marriage songs. You know, I've been married to a
She wants
football player.
it's
It's
a
first
new
round.
experience, right? Right, it's another phase of life that she can base her new writing on.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. That I think
I
that's
don't
not bad.
know. I'm not a Swifty. I like some of her songs, but I couldn't tell you chapter and verse. All their songs. But I'm sure she just wants to know what it's like to be with a jock. And really, this is a kind of an a political intermarriage, right? Because
Yes, yeah.
she was on the left, and even Trump said, "Oh, I hate Taylor Swift." And where was what's her, I mean, I think Kelsey's apolitical. I'm not sure, but
I
he's
think he's probably centrist. He's moderate. You know,
yeah, he
uh,
doesn't he does.
I don't think they'd be able to get along if he was anything other than moderate.
Well, I just say get a prenup, get a prenup.
You know.
All right. So now the final thing I want to talk to you about, because we're running out of battery also, and that is it's Labor Day. And I'm writing a column about all the people I saw working when I was up in Canada. And I thought, all those people wanted to come to America, but they didn't. They couldn't. It was easier to get to Canada. And the one reason they're in Canada, and the one reason why we're in the US and not the Philippines, is because of work. Our fathers and mothers wanted to work. The diaspora now is because of work, right? Because there's no work in the Philippines. And so I'm just taking a different view of Labor Day this year, looking at it in the context of Filipinos and where they end up, because I think it's the biggest driver for why people leave and why people go. I mean, people don't go. Uh, you didn't come to the United States because you wanted to see the Rockies or because you wanted to see the Mississippi River or, the natural beauty of the U.S. You came for work, right? And a lot of them worked in the fields. A lot of them worked in the cities. So I'm thinking about I'm thinking about the work I've done and how when I've moved, I've always moved because of work. This is my first, like from ages 17 to 30. All right. San Francisco, Boston, Houston, Boston, St. Louis, San Francisco, Reno, Dallas, San Francisco. That's how many times I moved by age 30. And then Washington, D.C., then San Francisco again. Then, you move for work. labor. It's an important part of our lives. And when you don't get the job you want, and when you're restricted by your movement, it impacts everything in your life. Thank goodness my father wasn't like the Filipinos later in life who had the choice: uh, go to Saudi Arabia, go to, you know, wherever in the diaspora. I just think I'm thinking about labor and Labor Day a little differently this year.
I think that's kind of a solemn perspective, but I think it's a very good one. It's a really healthy one. Um, it also helps people to, if you ask the secondary questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is how were they received when they got work? What kind of work? It wasn't just
Yeah.
work in general. What kind of work? And that second question really has a lot to do with the trials and tribulations of living in American society for not only our parents' generation, but all of the
Yeah.
generations of immigrants that have
Yeah.
come
How
here.
much?
That's really
How
what
much
it's
were you?
about.
How much were you paid? Were you paid? Were you given parity? You know, did a white
Yeah. What's
person
the
get
nature
paid
of the
more than
work?
you? Yeah. Did a
Sure.
white
What's the
person
nature
get
of the
paid?
work?
Yeah. No, the nature of the work. And, you know, like I know, I mean, I heard about Joy Reid. I mean, she did all right at MSNBC, but she got fired. And she was talking about how she made maybe a fraction of what her white counterparts did. And I related to that when I was at NPR. You know, when I was host of All Things Considered, I made a fraction of what other people made. You know, and when I was in San Francisco, working, you know, at the NBC affiliate, a fraction of what other people made. And that's a function of being who you are, a function of your race and what they can get away with. And they got away with a lot. So,
Yeah. People don't
Labor Day.
realize how problematic it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
had a
it's
couple of
not,
colleagues that were professors, as you know, and
yeah,
and who also were doing, they were not they were no longer, they were behind the desk now,
mhm, yeah,
and they would tell me we don't get
yeah,
paid that much. I didn't want to embarrass them by getting an exact amount, but clearly they were making better money as professors than they were working
yeah.
as
And,
anchors.
you know, here's the thing. Um, the thing about the work and pay. What did it take to get that that equal footing, you know, and the equal pay? It took unions. It took a labor movement. It took people coming together, sharing information, saying you got paid that, I got paid this, so we got to fight. You know, I mean that's how it works. That's how unions work. You know, oh, you got paid that much more, I got paid that much less. We got to get equality. And racial and financial equality came out of the labor movement. And our
Yep,
dear friend,
absolutely. Yep.
our dear friend, uh, you know, Don Mabalan, you know, saw the merger of the civil rights and the labor rights movement when she wrote about Larry Itliong and Delano and the grape strike and Filipinos in the fields. And it, you know, it's something that a lot of people overlook. You know, the equity
Well, they
that
also, why do you think they overlook it? Why do you think a lot of, especially Filipinos, why do you think they overlook the importance of our history with unions?
because we still get screwed, maybe.
Well, I think it's a class thing. I think a lot of
Yeah.
Filipinos don't want to identify with the need for unionization because it's a class thing. You know,
Hmm.
if you're a professional, and if you're a white collar worker, you still got a lot of people who think that if you're a professional or a white collar worker, you don't need unions because you make enough money as a professional to be independent of that sort of communal communal institution. and
Yeah.
and I remember that's what the professors said at SF State during the strike of 68, 69. When a few professors came out, a minority of the professors said, we're forming a union. And they formed the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers at the time. That was how they affiliated. And and
Uh-huh.
the reaction from not just right wingers or certified conservatives, the reaction from the majority of their colleagues was, we're professionals.
Yeah.
That was their reaction. That's how
Right.
limited
And
their perspective was.
it was a way to avoid, a way to justify not having a spine, a way to justify not fighting back. And
It
a
was a
lot of
way to
people,
avoid the yes, it was a way to avoid the possibility of retribution, which
right.
always happened. Once people, and it happens today. You know,
Oh yeah.
when people they say they want to join a union, the big corporations just go ahead and fire a bunch of people, right?
Well, I
And then
mean,
so they end up having to go on strike anyway.
see, here's the funny thing about the our country now, and unions creeping toward republicanism. In the last election. Well, I saw a poll. Axios reported on a poll showing that Republicans are creeping away from unionism, as opposed to unionism creeping toward republicanism. Republicans are actually distancing themselves from unions. So maybe we'll see a true union movement come out of 2025 and make itself heard during the midterms. I mean, that would be
I think
one.
I think that's very likely. I think there's a lot of good, strong indicators of that, right?
Yeah.
That there have been in red states there have been
Mhm.
successful union formations at
Yeah.
big corporations, and so I think you're right. I think we are. I'm beyond being hopeful. I think there is going to be a substantial revival of labor organizing and the
Well,
formation of unions.
let's hope so, because this these first 200 plus days of Trump have all been billionaires only, billionaires, working class.
Well,
Not
that's what I'm
exactly
saying. See, it's going to take more
billionaires
than
only.
just the union. It's going to take
Yeah.
union support, but it's going to take more than just the unions. The Democrats have to move on on campaign finance reform. They have to start talking
Yeah.
that language. They have
Yeah.
to
No
start
doubt.
talking that language. You have to put the idea, you have to put the concept into the minds of the general public. And so you keep repeating it over and over and over again, that that's what you have to do. I have not seen OAC and Bernie do that, and they need to do that.
Yeah.
Quit
Oh no.
using
No.
words
They.
like oligarchy. Stop using words like oligarchy and just call it out for what it is. Say stop corruption, stop corporate corruption, right?
It is
Stop
a.
billionaire corruption. Okay.
Yeah. It has become an acceptable norm, because the biggest criminal in D.C. is sitting in the White House. So where he could do anything he wants, and he is, and he's getting away with it.
Well,
No one's
he said
stopping him.
it. He said, "I can do anything I want because I'm the president of the United States." That's an
Yeah.
exact quote.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, and he said, yeah, and people like Law and Order. They like what I'm doing. They say, oh, I don't care what you call him. He can do whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants, and he is. So, Dan, on this Labor Day, uh, happy Labor
I
Day
am
to you.
thankful for my membership in the union. I am thankful for my lifetime of health care, which I also can attribute to a strong union. I
Yeah,
am grateful to all of the big unions that have done the right thing over time. I am pissed off at the UAW, because the
yeah,
auto workers went ahead and supported Trump. What a bunch of jerks, man.
yeah. No, look, and I am thankful for SAG-AFTRA and the
There you
union
go.
for all it's done for me. SAG,
Yeah,
AFTRA,
and
and
Ronald Reagan was the leader of SAG-AFTRA for a couple of quick minutes until he
SAG. I think
decided that
SAG.
he was going to become a Republican.
I think it was SAG
Yeah,
before, and then it merged with after the American Federation of
after that's
Television
right. It
Radio
was SAG at the
Artists.
time.
It was
Screen
just
Actors
SAG. He was,
Guild. Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
And so now, yeah, the actors are now sort of in cahoots with broadcasters, and so anyway, all right, Dan, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much for being there. Always
Yeah.
appreciate your commentary, and uh, take care. And that's it. That's it, Dan. Thank you very much. There he goes, Daniel Phil Gonzalez, my friend, College of Ethnic Studies, Asian American Studies, Professor Emeritus, San Francisco State University. Hey, this is Emil and Muck Takeout. Emil and Muck's Takeout. Let me just say that I'm at the Vancouver Fringe. Yeah, the Vancouver Fringe. Why isn't it showing? Show here. Show. Oh, it didn't say. Oh, that's the ticker. That's the. Oh, sorry about that, folks. Here it is. Here it is. I'm at the Vancouver Fringe, September 4th through the 14th. And if you like a QR code, here's a QR code to get to see Emil and Muck 69. Emil at various times, get to the page, order your tickets. Emil and Muck 69. Is it really called Emil and Muck 69? It sounds like it could be a show about sex. Well, you're just going to have to see it for yourself. I mean, I will say this, you can see it right side up or upside down. See, that's why I'm right side up, upside down. Emil and Muck 69 at the Vancouver Fringe. Tickets September 4th through 14th. Go get them. They're on pre-sale now. And I can't wait to get up to Granville Island and check out Vancouver. My third stop, I started in Winnipeg, got to Edmonton. The show keeps getting better. And now we're in Vancouver. And every time I do the show, Donald Trump does something monumental. And I think the monumental thing is there's going to be something about Epstein. There's going to be, I just think there's going to be something about, there has to be something about Epstein. Coming up. So check it out, September 4th through 14th. I'm at the review stage in Vancouver, and that's it. Hey, did something happen to our music? What happened to our music? I guess it just cut out. The music cut out. All right, so we end this program in the usual way with love. Of course, we end with love. And so, a little loving kindness. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. If you missed all or any of the show, reverse, start at the top. We'll be repeating the show throughout the weekend. Have yourselves a great Labor Day weekend. Till next time. Maha.